What's up everyone, it's Inuyasherz here. What we're going over today is a basic navigation guide to the desert. These tips should help you figure out where you are and which way you need to go. But before we get into that, let's just go over some general items that can help you out or that you might need while going into the desert. When going into the desert during the daytime, you can get a debuff that is going to decrease your HP, and that's going to be heat stroke. In order to cure that, we're going to need purified water. You might think you're safe from the debuff at nighttime, but think again. The desert gets cold at night, so you can get hypothermia. We need star anise tea in this case. You can come across sandstorms and you might need a tent, but instead of just walking into a sandstorm, we'll walk around it, so we're going to ignore those. Now, what can we all get to help prevent this debuff from happening in the first place? Having a pet fox out will help you prevent heat stroke and hypothermia. Another thing you can have on is the desert ghillie. If you have these two items, they both help prevent the desert debuff, but they are both pearl items, so if you do not want to spend money, that's perfectly fine. Just know you're going to be drinking a little bit more than someone who does. Okay, so now that we have all this stuff ready and we're all set to go into the desert, I've just kind of dashed out here randomly. I didn't pay attention to where I went. I just watched YouTube videos while dashing around, basically. So, and there's the desert debuff down there. So if you have your tea and your water down there, use the appropriate item. Alright, so now we're somewhere random in the desert. I'm not exactly sure where I am, so how do we fix this? The first general tip I'm going to tell you is look for some trees. If you ever see some trees, that's going to be a node. So I know right over there there's a node. While I don't know exactly where I am, I know that that's going to be a node and I can use that to my advantage. So let's come over here. Alright, so now that we have arrived, we can look up to the mini-map in the top right and see that we have arrived in Sincerity. Alright, so now that we know I'm in Sincerity, we can pull up the map, zoom out, and we're going to have to find out where that is on the map. So if you look at all the nodes one at a time, you will eventually find the node that you're at, and I know I'm right here on the map. So let's say I was trying to go somewhere in particular, I can then correct my course going from this node and I know roughly what direction I need to head in. If you ever know where you're trying to go, what can help you out is think of the map like a clock. Imagine you're reading an analog clock and think of the hour hand. If you know where you're trying to go, you can then think of the hour hand and use that as a direction and face that way on the mini-map. So now that we ended up here, let's say I was running over to Valencia City for some reason. I would know I have to head over here, so I would point my character at roughly 2 o'clock and I would be heading in the right direction. If I was trying to run back towards Sangram Bazaar, I would see that I need to head at roughly 10 o'clock, and if I head to 10 o'clock, I would arrive somewhere in the general area of Sangram Bazaar. So using trees to find nodes, then using the map like a clock and pointing your character in whichever direction can generally help you where to go. But what else can we do? Another thing we can do is use our map like a compass. Our map is fixed up here, so we know which way is which just by which way our character is facing. So if I have my camera facing this way, we can see that that's looking straight up. That is north. That means if my character faces this way, we can look at the line of sight over here, see that that's east. If I'm looking that way, that would be south. If I'm looking this way, that would be west. You can use this along with the clock trick to really pinpoint where you're going. The last tip I'm going to go over is if you have a cat, the cats have an ability to detect resources you can gather. Now to get this to trigger, I will point out I did have to remove my butcher's knife, but if my butcher's knife is renewed, as I'm dashing across the desert, you can come across bones. If you come across anything such as these bones, your cat will run over, ping the resource, and if I pull the map up, zoom out, bam, instant GPS thanks to the cat. So this can be a nice little trick for you to use as well. So that's just about gonna do it for my tips as to how to navigate the desert. Keep in mind these tips do not only apply to the desert, you can always use that mini map as a compass You can always think of the hour hands on a clock when you're navigating, and hopefully this can help you not get lost. I hope this guide has helped you out. I wish you all the best. You all take care and have a wonderful day.